If you've been scrolling through endless camera lists, watching video after video trying to decide whether to go for a compact, a mirrorless, or maybe even a pricey DSLR, and you're still left wondering which little box actually makes sense for your everyday shooting, this review is going to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a good chunk of the last week testing the Leica D-Lux in a variety of real-world situations, from a crowded city market at dusk to a sunny beach day with kids, and I'm going to walk you through exactly why it might or might not be the right fit for you. First off, let's talk about the type of photographer this camera is aimed at. Leica positions the D-Lux as a premium compact, which means it's built for people who want high-quality images without lugging around a bag of lenses. If you're a beginner who's still learning the basics of composition and exposure, or a hobbyist who travels light and wants something that can step up from your phone, you're squarely in the target audience. It's also a solid option for working creators who need a secondary camera for quick on-the-go moments, like documenting a conference breakout or capturing brawl while the primary gear is set up elsewhere. What the D-Lux does differently is combine a 17-megapixel 4/3 sensor with a fast f/1.72.8 Leica lens that covers a 2,448mm equivalent focal range. In practice, that means you get a fairly bright, versatile zoom and a body that fits in the palm of your hand. When I first opened the box, the first thing I noticed was how quickly the autofocus locked onto subjects, whether it was a moving dog at a park or a street vendor's face in a bustling market. The camera uses contrast detect AF, and after a brief calibration period, it became surprisingly confident, even in lower light. That reliability is a huge plus because one of the biggest frustrations for anyone stepping up from a phone is hunting for focus in dim environments. Speaking of low-light performance, the D-Lux sensor shines for a compact. At around a 1/50 SA condominium shutter speed and ISO 800, you get nicely exposed street scenes with minimal grain. The f/1.7 aperture lets in a lot of light, and the built-in image stabilization does a decent job of smoothing out handheld shake good enough to get usable video at 1080p without a gimbal for most everyday situations. I was in a dimly lit coffee shop, filming an interview, and the camera held the shot steady enough that I only had to do a tiny touch-up in post. For photographers who often shoot evenings or indoor events without flash, that is a real practical advantage. On the flip side, there are a few areas where the D-Lux feels a bit hesitant. The menu system, while sleek, can be a little cumbersome for someone who wants to change settings on the fly. Unlike some competitor models that have a dedicated quick menu dial, you need to press the FN button and then swipe through a hierarchy of options. In the middle of a spontaneous street shoot, that extra tap can feel like a minor annoyance. That said, once you get accustomed to the layout, the learning curve flattens quickly, especially if you're already familiar with Leica's design language. Battery life is another practical point to consider. The D-Lux uses a rechargeable lithium-ion pack that comfortably lasts for about 350 shots under mixed usage. If you're planning a full day of shooting, especially with video, you'll want to carry a spare. The camera's USB-C charging is fast enough that you can top it up during a coffee break, but don't expect to run an entire marathon on a single charge if you're a heavy video user. Now let's talk about lens ecosystem. Leica's D-Lux line isn't designed to be an interchangeable lens system, so you're locked into the built-in 2,448mm equivalent zoom. For most casual shooters and vloggers, that covers everything from wide-angle landscapes to modest portrait compression. However, if you're looking for a telephoto reach or macro capability, you'll need to look elsewhere. The good news is that the lens is remarkably sharp across its zoom range, delivering crisp detail that rivals many larger sensor compacts. In my tests, the sharpness at 48mm was on par with a Panasonic Lumix 30mm f/2.5, which is impressive given the smaller form factor. Connectivity-wise, the D-Lux lives up to its advanced connectivity claim. It has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, letting you transfer images to your phone in seconds via the Leica Image Transfer app. I found the app intuitive for quick sharing, and the ability to remote control the camera from my phone was handy when I wanted to set up a tripod shot without touching the camera. The downside is the app sometimes lags when navigating through high-resolution images, which can be a minor irritation if you rely heavily on instant previews for client work. Who should definitely consider buying the D-Lux? If you're a traveler who wants a pocket-sized camera that delivers better image quality than a